When you feel stuck, overwhelmed, unmotivated, or are having trouble making decisions, it feels awful. Everything seems to be more difficult. You're constantly running into obstacles. This can be energetically or even physically, like traffic jams that keep you from moving forward. So, one thing after another keeps getting in your way. And everything seems to take longer, or it's more difficult, or maybe you don't even have the energy for it. You feel tired or drained. So, when you're feeling this way, you are not in flow. I think that's pretty obvious, right? But sometimes we get stuck and then we don't realize your flow is being blocked by something or perhaps several things. And so today, I'm going to share with you 7 things that could be blocking your flow and keeping you stuck. Then in the next video, I'll share how to clear these blocks. So let's jump into this. The first thing that I want to talk about before I get into the actual 7 blocks to your flow is what are blocks? I like to think of them as static. So when you're listening to the radio and you're too far from a radio tower, you kind of lose the station, right? And you experience that static. And you might try like tuning it in, but you really can't hear the song that's playing clearly. And frankly, it's kind of annoying, right? So usually when that happens, you're likely to change the channel. You're just going to tune into something else that is clear. A similar thing happens when you're energetically distanced from your spiritual team of angels and guides. So you can't hear what they're saying to you. And it's really frustrating because you're asking for help, you're begging for help, maybe even, and you just can't seem to receive a clear answer about how to shift out of the funk that you're in, and or maybe what decision to make or how to move forward. And when you're in this space of feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, triggered is another word that I like to use, and essentially out of the flow, you might automatically go into what's called fight, flight, or freeze mode. And that's a defensive mechanism, right? Fighting, for example, might lead you to argue with what is, right? Wishing things to be different, maybe asking unhelpful questions like, why is this happening to me? Why can't things go my way? Why does everything have to be so difficult? Or you might try to escape, so that would be the flight, by doing something mind-numbing, like scrolling through social media, binge watching TV, drinking a lot of wine, maybe even, but escaping in some way, right? You're fleeing, you're escaping from the challenge or the issue. The last thing you might do is you might feel paralyzed. So you might be in sort of freeze mode, right? And that's taking no action or giving up altogether and just existing, getting through each day, what I call living a Groundhog Day life. Once you clear the static, however, you'll be able to hear your spiritual team, your angels and guides, and you'll feel clearer, which allows you to make decisions from the part of your brain that is capable of doing that, right? When you're in fight, flight, or freeze mode, you can't make good decisions. So when you clear that static, you're able to make decisions and then, of course, navigate your life with a lot more ease and get into the flow. So there is a specific static removal system for eliminating the static in your life. This is something that my guide shared with me, and it's a step-by-step process. And this is actually the main tool in facet to flow number 2. So there's 5 facets to flow. I'll be sharing all of the facets to flow in my upcoming live masterclass. So if you haven't registered for that, there's a link to that in the description. So the static removal system, it is an acronym. There's an acronym that helps you remember the steps. And the acronym is SPECTER. And when that word came into me from Divine, I was really curious about the meaning. So I, of course, Googled it. And a specter is actually something that causes fear or worry, or the idea of something unpleasant that might happen in the future. And it's also refers to specter as being a ghost. So many of the things that cause static in our life and block our flow are related to things that we fear or worry about, or are unseen influences similar to a ghost. So by systematically removing the specters in your life, you'll actually begin to feel more at ease, calmer, more peaceful, and be able to clearly hear your spirit team's guidance and experience more flow. So SPECTER stands for, the S is for squirrels, P is for people, E is for energy, the C is for clutter, the T is for thoughts, the second E is for environment, and the R is for realm. Now, I want to take a look at each of these so you can understand what they are and how they might be blocking your flow. So I want you to pay attention during this time. Take some notes. What resonates with you? What feels like a block for you? So pay attention to that as you're going through this, and maybe even just star the ones that, like, yeah, that feels like a block for me, because that's going to be helpful to know when you listen to my next video that will share how to clear those blocks. So that's why I want you to pay attention to that. Okay. Step number 1 is squirrels or distraction. So you've likely heard the expression for being distracted as seeing a squirrel, right? Often we don't hear our guidance, our spiritual team, because we're too distracted or we're not paying attention. And it's really easy to become distracted in our current technology-filled lives, right? There's always something vying for our attention. But when you eliminate those distractions, you're actually going to find it easier to connect with yourself, with spirit, angels and guides, and other people in your life, right? And connection leads to better communication, more joy, and more flow in your life. So in the next video, I will share tips for how to clear these blocks. Okay, step number 2 is people. People can create static in your life, yes, and block your flow. There are certainly people who are complainers or gossipers or energy drainers, or people that maybe just don't support your dreams. And that creates static in your life. The people that you surround yourself with do matter, and they impact your energy or your vibration, and consequently your point of attraction in and your flow in life. So they definitely have an impact on that. So think about whether you have any people like that in your life. And if that's you, star that one as a block. The third step to SPECTER and the third block is energy. So energy, I think of this as your vibration and how you feel. And it might seem like you have complete control over your energy and how you feel. But what you may not realize is that every time that you're interacting with someone else, your energy fields sort of mingle together, right? Their energy enters your field and your energy enters their field, and their energy can impact how you feel. So this sort of intermingling is not a bad thing, because it does allow us to connect more deeply with other people, with our family, our friends, our lovers, our coworkers. But once you conclude that interaction, most of the time we don't take our energy back, right? Even if you go in a room and you sit down in a chair, you're leaving some of your energy in that chair. And most of us don't think to, like, oh, let's gather my energy that I left here. I'm going to gather this up before I get up and walk out of this room, right? So it's important also to think about not keeping other people's energy in your field, because this creates blockages for you and can energetically weigh you down. So it might actually have you feeling heavy, have you feeling unmotivated, have you feeling like you can't take action because you've got other people's energy that's making it even so you can't breathe. And you might take on other people's energy without even realizing it, right? In my Love Your Life program, I share several methods for clearing energy, and I'll be sharing one of those with you in the next video. So you'll get a way to be able to clear that energy, one way that is available to you. Okay, step 4, or block number 4, is clutter. I can't talk about blocks without talking about clutter. And this is actually something a number of people had shared with me, that that was one of their blocks, that they just have, all this stuff and they can't seem to clear it. So every single item in your home has an impact on you and carries an energy. All of the stuff that you're collecting and hanging on to, maybe unnecessarily, is holding you back. So things that constitute clutter are things that you don't love or don't use. Anything that's untidy or unorganized, anything that doesn't have a spot, right? A place to live. Unfinished items are also clutter. Broken items can be clutter, especially impactful on your energy field and what you're attracting, because broken items attract more broken energy, right? And having too many items in a space, certainly. And of course, we have, electronic clutter like emails and paper clutter. There's all kinds of different forms of clutter. So clutter can cause weight gain. It can cause depression, anxiety, overwhelm, other health issues, and it essentially creates more static in your life and blocks your flow. So decluttering makes space, literally and energetically, for what you want to draw into your life, okay? And it automatically increases flow. The next video, I am going to be sharing some tips for clearing this blockage. But if you need extra support around clearing clutter, I do have a course for that. Declutter your home, elevate your life. And I'll put a link to that below. It's a step-by-step process for removing clutter from your home once and for all. So that's available to you as well. Block number 5 are thoughts. Thoughts are a form of mental static, right? Sometimes it seems like we cannot get our mind to shut up. The thoughts are never going to go away. That is something that you need to be aware of. We're human, so we're going to continue to have thoughts throughout our life. But it's important to remember that your thoughts are not who you are. They're simply helpful or unhelpful. They do still have an impact on you, though. Thoughts can hinder your flow. They can keep you from really loving your life. And the thoughts that you give energy to will grow, and they'll attract more thoughts like themselves. So eventually, if you give enough energy towards a thought, it's going to show up in your physical experience. If you have a persistent thought that's not helpful, that can be one of your blocks, right? And it might be something that you've been telling yourself all your life. It might be something someone else told you when you were a child and you just now believe that, right? Because thoughts lead to beliefs as well. So make a note if one of your blocks is unhelpful thoughts, because that does have an impact on you. Okay. Block number 6 is environment. The environment inside and outside of your home or office can also create static, and it might block your energy flow, might even be causing physical or mental illness or disease. And environmental blocks, these are just a couple examples, because of course I deal a lot when I do consultations, but you might have a front door that's not visible. You might have stair issues in the home. So stairs can lead to up and down energy, and they can pull the flow away from where we want it to go. Door issues can also be a form of environmental static. Angled doors, too many doors, doors that lead nowhere, like perhaps there's a deck that hasn't been built, but you've got a sliding glass door there, right? Living in a cul-de-sac, on a dead-end street, or on a curved road, that can be environmental static. Living near churches, cemeteries, funeral homes, there's just a lot of different things, right? Energetic arrows, like telephone poles, or even, shelves or walls aiming at you where you're sitting, can cause that environmental static, and so much more, because of course this is all the world of Feng Shui. So that is block number 6. Block number 7 is realm. This is the last one. And realm is kind of a different little category, because this is more unseen energies. So predecessor energy would be the energy of the people who lived in a space before you moved in. So if they were divorced, had money issues or health issues, maybe someone even died in the home, right? That energy is impacting you and can be blocking your flow without you even knowing it. EMFs are another thing that I put in the realm grouping of blocks. That could be radio or cell phone towers, electrical boxes, geopathic stress, and then, of course, ghosts or spirits, right? Because we do get them in our homes. One of my Love Your Life members recently shared with me an instance of sort of feeling the energy of a spirit. So she's been going to the same yoga studio for the past 14 years. And one of the toilets or the bathrooms has had consistent issues. And a couple of times when she's gone in there, she can actually see a dark, misty energy. And whatever it is, like, moves into her energy field and makes her feel kind of like woozy. So she, uses the other bathroom now. She avoids that bathroom. It's not for her to fix that, right? Because it's not her space. But you may have something like that happening in your home. You may have a spirit or something like that in your home or office. And you may have had circumstances where weird things happen or you feel funny like that. Now that you have more awareness around what's blocking your flow, hopefully you took some notes about that. I'd love for you to share your top 2 blocks to flow in the comments below, because I really want, when I do the next video and also the masterclass, to make sure that I'm helping you. And the more information I have about what your blocks are, the more I can help you. So watch for the next video. It's coming out on Friday, and that is when I will share how to clear these blocks to your flow. And then also make sure to save your spot for the live masterclass, where I'm going to be sharing a lot of juicy goodness. I'm going to be sharing what being in the flow means, the 5 facets to flow framework, say that 10 times fast. Those are all the steps to get in and stay in the flow. And I'm also going to be sharing a powerful way to begin taking action to shift your life. So this is a way to set a goal and start moving towards that goal. There's going to be an open Q&A where I answer your questions. And then you'll also get a bonus meditation that's going to help clear your energy fields to help shift you into a flow state. So super excited to see you on the next video and also at the masterclass. Until next time.